Welcome back to the run home. Let's get to our next guest, and he's an absolute superstar of the AFL and the Richmond Football Club. 3 premierships, 3 times a Coleman medal winner as well, and now doing a terrific job with Fox Footy and the host of On the Couch. We're talking about Jack Riewoldt. Jack, welcome to the run home.
Hey, Paul, how you going?
I'm going well, mate. How are you enjoying your new role, hosting such a significant show in the football landscape?
Yeah, to be honest, I was scared shitless early on, but I've been able to overcome the anxiety and the fear of live TV, and it's been great fun actually. Working with obviously Brownie and Bucks and coming across with Geordie, we were on 360 together. But I suppose the thrill of live TV is actually pretty similar to the thrill of live footy. It's sort of you're there and you're in the cut and thrust of it, and everything you say has sort of a consequence to it or a meaning to it, and I've really enjoyed that.
Did you always know that you were going to go down that path of media, or was coaching always in the back of your mind, or doing something completely different?
Hey, Paul, I don't know whether you have followed my career very closely, but I actually put a media ban on myself maybe 2015, I think it was. And so I can tell you right now, when I was sitting on the train station at Richmond after being chased through the streets of 3121, that I didn't think I was going to be in the media. But here I am. I find myself in the media and have enjoyed every aspect of it.
I remember Peter Bell doing something similar where he just didn't want to speak at the airport one day, and he just put a book over his face and said, "Get out of my face." And he went on to have a great career in footy, but also in the media as well. But no doubt you're heading to Adelaide, Gather Round. Are you a big fan of Gather Round in Adelaide?
Love Gather Round. It's great to go to the footy. Obviously, if you can't get to the footy, you can watch it on Fox and KO, which is where I work now, and the whole crew from Fox is getting over to Adelaide to get amongst the Gather Round to bring every game live. So it is really Christmas for footy fans. You go there, the activations, the ability to go and watch different teams. Like, you look across the crowd, and there's obviously the 2 teams that are being represented at the moment. People just go there because they love the footy, and I am a footy lover, and I can't wait to get amongst it and get amongst the atmosphere.
I want you to be honest with this one. Do you think Christmas will ever come to Perth? I'm talking about the Gather Round here in Perth.
Hey, you know that I'm a Tasmanian as well. That's the other thing. I think we would like it as well to have maybe a Gather Round in Tasmania in post-season 2028. That'd be fantastic to welcome all the Western Australians down to the beautiful Apple Isle. But look, I love the concept, and I think that if it's to go to certain states outside of obviously Victoria, I think Western Australia and Tasmania are great examples of football-loving heartland states that would really thrive on the opportunity of having every AFL team in their town. I mean, who's to say that we can't look at an AFLW Gather Round as well? It's a brilliant idea. And one that the AFL has obviously invested heavily in, and they've reaped the rewards. So I think, however, if you want the contract for Gather Round, you've got to take on Peter Malinauskas and the South Australian government. So I'll leave that up to your Premier and the Premier of Tasmania.
Our Premier at the moment still dealing with the NRL and Peter V'landys to try and get the next licence over here. So I don't think that will happen in the meantime. But you are one of the great key forwards of all time. And we've got a couple right now out of form. One is our very own Oscar Allen at the West Coast Eagles, and one is another West Aussie in Aaron Norton at the Bulldogs. What's your advice for those two when they run out this week to try and snap that horror form?
Look, obviously, completely different circumstances. I think Oscar's, a lot's been made of what's happened and transpired over the last sort of 10 days. And I remember I went to a really flat patch, and Damien Harbig actually got me over to his house, and I sat there on a Wednesday night and had a couple of beers and then just watched a bit of my footage. And I know Andrew McQualter reasonably well. He was a coach at Richmond for a long period of time. I would suggest that Minnie would be doing something similar to that. The relationship between your coach and your key forward, and in this case your captain as well, is so critical. So Minnie's a brilliant people person and a brilliant coach, and no doubt he would be investing in Oscar. And for Aaron, I think he's probably just been a little bit of his lack of balls derived from the fact that Sam Darcy is just announced himself in a space of 20-odd games. So for Aaron, it's simple for me. It's just jump at the footy. And you don't even need to think about catching it. You don't need to think about that because they're traits that key forwards have. And we know that he's one of the great aerial marks of the competition. Just getting back to the fundamentals of just jumping at the footy and the rest comes naturally. So hopefully for both of those boys, they can have good games this weekend in Adelaide.
How have you seen the evolution of the key forward and the size of these blokes coming through? You mentioned Sam Darcy could be absolutely anything, but we've got Archer Reid over here, Ethan Reid as well, Riley Thilthorpe. They're all over sort of 200 centimetres. What's your thoughts on that? And do you think it will make it difficult for guys your size and Matthew Pavlich's size in the future?
No, I'm not sold that it makes it difficult for our side. So you look at Josh Tracy at the moment. I think he might be, by the end of the year, a top 5 key forward in the competition. Obviously, off the back of 40-odd goals last year, that we know that he was an incredible steal in that 2020 draft as a rookie pick. So clearly Fremantle have done something well there with their recruiting. And I just think that key forward will always be there, that lead-up, barrel-chested key forward that we love to see. But we've just got a couple of unicorns at the moment. I think it's the only way to describe this 200-centimetre plus key forward. Sam Darcy is obviously right up there at the moment. And you look at Riley Thilthorpe. I mean, we've been starved of Riley Thilthorpe action just due to the fact that he's been injured for so long. But we're starting to see what Adelaide people have known for a long time with Riley. So there will always be a space for the lead-up key forward, and the Dockers have got a really good one too.
They've got a good one in Shea Bolton as well, who they stole. They didn't steal him. They paid a fair bit to get him across from the Tigers. He comes up against the Tigers for the first time. How much difference do you think he'll make to Fremantle, and what's he like as a teammate?
Well, if the comment from Justin Longmuir at the start of the year about vanilla, which I think has probably come back to haunt him a little bit when he said that in the pre-season, Shea Bolton is anything but vanilla. He's an incredible person for starters, Shea, and we don't get to hear much from him. So knowing him well, he has incredible values. He's a great family man. He gives Fremantle a sense of unpredictability, and I don't think he can put a figure on that, on how important it is just to have something that is outside of the box of what Fremantle have been for a period of time now. So clearly they identified that they needed that enigma-type talent, and Shea is that. Now, he will do stuff that will frustrate people, like missed goals from the top of the goal square. The one that he kicked on the weekend, which was his first goal for the Purple Haze, it went in by a millimetre, and he kicked it from about 3 metres out. So, but the brilliance of Shea Bolton is something that I think will help propel Fremantle further up the ladder after a slow start at 0-2.
Do you measure him by how many goals he kicks this year? Does he get towards 50 goals, or is it more about those other things that he brings to the table, his pressure, but also those goal assists that he creates through his speed and unpredictability?
I reckon the best thing to measure Shea Bolton off score involvements.
Yep.
He's so brilliant with the ball. He's got a great football IQ, which is hard to teach, and some kids just got it, and he's got a knack of getting it. Clearly, we want to see him kick as many goals as possible. We would love to see him actually take marks like the one that he did, or he nearly did, on Rory Lobb on the weekend. I mean, that could have been mark of the millennium, that mark, jumping mark on the weekend. But I think score involvements is where the Fremantle fans should be placing their focus on with Shea Bolton.
We've seen rebuilds take a long time. You've been part of a rebuild yourself in the early part of your career. Fremantle have been rebuilding since 2016. What about your Tigers? They've entered probably the first year of their rebuild. How long do you think they will take to contend again, and how have you found the start of the season?
How long's a piece of string, Paul? I mean, it's there is no blueprint to the rebuild. I think if any club at the moment is looking at potentially following the leader is Hawthorn. So you look at how Hawthorn went to the draft and got in good picks. I mean, they're starting to come to fruition now with McDonald, McKenzie, Will Day, those type of players that are genuine, close to A-graders. So high-end talent is really important. And Richmond ripped the Band-Aid off last year. Obviously, Liam Baker and Jack Graham went to the Dockers. The West Coast Eagles, and Shea went to the Dockers. Is that they haven't left without some remuneration. So 6 first-round draft picks last year is a king's ransom for what they had to give up. But it is what you could build your football club off for the next tilt to the premiership for Richmond. So we've already seen what Sam Lawler looks like. He's going to be a bona fide star, and you'd think at the moment he'd be the favourite for the rising star this year. Luke Trainer's played every game. Harry Armstrong, a young key forward, which you don't usually see key forwards playing early on. He's played every game and shown signs, still shown that he's pretty green and has a lot to learn. But the other one's Josh Smiley, who we haven't seen yet at Richmond. And I stood next to him draft night, and he's a midfielder. He's 195 centimetres. So, I mean, you talk about prototypes. They could have another one there, the Tigers.
I thought it was a perfect storm last year for the Tigers with a lot of those players leaving, and throw Daniel Riewoldt into that as well. Do you see something similar happening at the Melbourne Football Club this year, that when the window shuts, do you think we'll see a few players run for the hills?
Look, it's very early on in the season to make a call like that in terms of, but you always have to know, and David King's very big on this on Fox Footy, is you always have to know where your list's at. And be realistic with where your list is at. And Melbourne haven't challenged realistically in the last sort of 2 to 3 years. And maybe there is an opportunity if they do decide to regenerate. But you got to make sure you're going to get something back. So Christian Petrarca is obviously a player that has been spoken about. Was spoken about at the end of last year. Is that he's still got a lot of value within him. There is 17 other clubs out there that would like Christian Petrarca. So that will be something that Melbourne will constantly be juggling, identifying where they sit in their next premiership tilt, and whether they can take it with this list or whether they need to regenerate and start again.
Are you confident Andrew McQualter can turn the ship around for the West Coast Eagles, given your involvement with him over your career?
I could not be more confident about the selection of Andrew McQualter as the West Coast Eagles coach. He has every trait you need as a senior coach. And the most important trait currently in AFL coaching is the ability to tell a story and create a story which creates belonging for a group. And I know that Andrew started that with West Coast, and the ability to have relationships with your players. And I couldn't not speak more highly of Andrew McQualter in terms of those two facets of his coaching ability. Your coaching group is there for, obviously, the tactical side of it. Andrew's very well versed in that area too, and he's put some good people around him. I love the fact that he went and got Liam Baker and Jack Graham. Liam Baker knows the Richmond game plan in and out, and you'd imagine there'd be a fair bit of the Tigers that have rolled over to obviously West Coast now, with McQualter being at the Tigers for nearly a decade, and Jack Graham comes across and lives the values of what it is to be in a successful football club. Think back to Game 5 with him in the 2017 Grand Final, and he shut down Rory Sloane, his childhood idol. He gets it. So you've got a couple of Tigers players there already that have seen success. West Coast are a big football club that just haven't been performing to the best in the current market. So, look, it won't turn overnight for Andrew and West Coast, but hopefully over the end of the season and the back part of the season, we can see West Coast being more competitive and winning games of footy.
If it doesn't turn, Jack, do you think they deserve a priority pick at the end of the season, whether that be first round or maybe after the first round?
I'm not sure that it's at that circumstance yet, but I mean, there's some big decisions to come out of West Coast. I mean, everyone talks about Harley Reid and what his future looks like at West Coast. And look, at the moment, I think they need to focus on what they've got there and how to get the best out of it. I wouldn't be starting to look towards a priority pick, because in my eyes, that just shows a sense of not giving up, but it shows a sense of you're already looking at to next year. You should be focusing on the now, and the now for West Coast is gather round this weekend.
Last one, can your other coach, Damien Hardwick, turn things around? And you mentioned telling stories. He's been talking about the NBA and the Detroit Pistons back in the day. Can that bear some fruit this year and go deep into the finals?
Oh, it's funny how all these stories come out about the NBA and the Detroit Pistons. This is rewritten material from Richmond. It is a masterclass of repurposing material, and it is very good material as well. So the Gold Coast Suns have got a lot of American football stories, NBA stories, really quirky stories about Spanish conquistadors climbing Mount Everest ahead of them. And for the Gold Coast Suns, you think at the moment their time is now to strike. They've got an amazing list. They don't want for anything. What they wanted for at the end of last year was 2 halfbacks, and they went and got them. They're going to be armed with a whole bunch of picks again at the end of this year. And the biggest thing for them will, one, be fitting them in the salary cap and making sure that when they play finals this year, they're raring to go.
One last one. Who's going to coach Tasmania?
I literally have no idea. I think 3 years is nearly a decade in AFL footy. Just you don't know the landscape of who might be available, what your list looks like. But certainly there's some big names that are out at the moment. Obviously Simpson and Longmire are the two that you look at that are currently on AFL 360, but they are coaches. And I would be very surprised if one, not two or two of them actually bobbed up to coach again. They're both premiership coaches as well. So look, I think it'll be someone who is tried and true and can help the Devils hit the ground running in season 2028.
Love your work, Jack. Appreciate your time here on the run home. Good luck with Gather Round.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Jack Riewoldt there. What a superstar he was for the Richmond Football Club, doing a terrific job as well. I want to put it out there to the listeners. Should West Coast receive a priority pick at the end of this season? And we'll throw it out there as well. Who will be the first coach of the Tasmanian Football Club? You can join in any time on the text machine, 0487 736 736, or call the open line. That's 13 12 55. And don't forget, we've got 2 double passes to win to this weekend's NRL double header. Don't miss out on seeing NRL action at its very best. 4 teams, 2 blockbuster games, 1 huge day. Thanks to Optus Stadium.